Shall I talk about FEZ first? Let's talk about FEZ.
Yeah.
Love FEZ. I played it on 360 when it came out, and I was inspired to go back for it for no obvious reason this last week.
Yeah, you could say.
And actually, although I did like it when it came out, I was slightly cooler on it than the general reception, because I remember I got a lot of 10s from people and, got perfect scores. And obviously there was an internet backlash as well. People saying it was overrated. But when it came out, I think what I wanted from it was not necessarily what it delivered, and it's not its fault that it doesn't do that. It's just trying to achieve a different thing. It's a platformer game where you play a cute pixel dude and you kind of jump around these levels, but you can also spin the level. It's a 3D level really, but then when it's reorientated in a different compass point, different blocks line up. When I saw that, I was just like, oh yeah, that looks like a really kind of rich conceit from which you can wring a whole bunch of ideas. In the same way that Braid took the idea of time manipulation, and then it was relentlessly squeezing that and twisting that single idea and getting different puzzles out of it. And FEZ doesn't really do that at all. Like, it does that spinny-roundy thing, and yeah, sure, occasionally blocks line up and then you can walk across them, but you couldn't do that if there was in a different perspective. But that's it. That's as far as that mechanic goes. And I remember being kind of like, What it does instead is that it displaces all of its puzzles to almost meta stuff. So there's lots of cryptography. You just go through a level and there's some text on an obelisk, for example, and then you find somewhere else some ways of like a coder to the alphabet that's being used there, and then you can work out that that's actually like a code that you can input in the game, rotating a level left and right after a certain number of times in order to gain a secret, secret door opens up or something like that.
Huh.
There's a lot of that stuff, so it's all it feels almost external to the actual mechanics of play, and I think that's why I was kind of cooler on it when it first came out. But I've gone back to it now and I've completed it again, and it is just such a fucking astonishingly beautiful game. Not just visually, but just in the completeness of its kind of aesthetic vision. Like, everything about it just feeds back perfectly into this one kind of sensation that when you're playing it. And obviously Phil Fish is some kind of genius. I don't know what particular flavour, but he obviously contributed. He didn't do the coding, I think, on the game, but just the pixel art alone is astonishingly beautiful, and the choices of the palettes and stuff like that.
There's a beautiful, almost naive texture to that game, the kind of sense of. I got it in Cave Story as well. When you first leave your village and you're in these really cute environments, and there's a sense of, for me, it just whisks me back to childhood a little bit. There's just a little bit of that magic there, where there's just wonder and pleasure of moving around these places.
It's totally. I mean, part of its thing is a nostalgia trip back to the kind of days of NES and stuff like that. There's like Tetris blocks are all in the environment, stuff like that. And you can eye roll at that kind of stuff a bit. The internet and Reddit and Tumblr and things like that have made those things just so... made nostalgia itself so overexposed that it feels kind of a bit tawdry now. But actually I think it does... FEZ does that well, because it doesn't just take those ideas, but it actually says... it doesn't just evoke the emotions of that kind of childish naivety and joy of play and things like that. But it does kind of pseudo-profound things with that, I think. Like, it's really cute. And I mean that in the sense that kind of clever and neat. The way you slowly piece together the kind of, the reasons that the citizens of this world live the way they do, and there's certain ones who can only see the world in 2D. And there are ones who have much bigger brains who can see the world in 3D, and the way it describes their kind of their lives and the way that they've generated culture and stuff like that is actually very kind of consistent. Like, it's the thought and intelligence has gone into doing that. It's not just like a throwaway gag or anything like that. And it does a thing where it constantly pretends to have ended the game in rather clever ways, which is just kind of neat in itself. And when the first time you do it, I suppose this is a bit of a spoiler, it almost happens within minutes of starting the game, where it's this great event is meant to have occurred, and you're the chosen one, and then you see this kind of otherworldly hypercube starts spinning, and unfortunately you're just not bright enough because you have a small brain and you can only see the world in 2D. And whatever kind of ritual is meant to have been performed just doesn't work on you because your generation has become so debased in some way. It doesn't work. And the game seems to crash. Like it chat me up the first time I played it because the screen kind of just and breaks into all these kind of glitchy graphics.
Right.
And then it boots up. And it gives you a very kind of convincing looking DOS screen. I was just shitting myself when I first saw it. And then you get back into the game again, and then things have changed, and you can now move in 3D, and you've got a FEZ. And then later again, you can end the game again. It's more subtle this time, and I didn't realise that actually you can carry on playing after that point the first time I played it, and you get a kind of New Game Plus thing, it's called in the menu, but it's actually just a continuation of the game, and you can begin to finish it. But it's huge as well, there's so much to that world that I didn't see the first time I played it through. Like entire warp zones, that I just had not encountered. And some of them are just so fucking cool and clever looking, and the music's beautiful. But really the best thing about it is the way in which one of its endings occurs, and well, it's I suppose it's kind of like it pays a lot of homage to the Beyond the Infinite moment in 2001, which kind of you might think that's a bit of a gag, like going beyond the infinite in this 32-bit world. It's just a bit I don't know, it might seem just kind of very kind of surface level reference and not really much more to it than that, but actually I found it very moving. Right. Because it's for one thing it's beautiful, but it's also it tries to describe visually what the things that you're playing are at their most basic level, and it just kind of peels away levels and levels of kind of pixels and then represents bits in a certain way, and then represents the kind of the information that exists in the universe between bits and stuff like this, and it keeps them going panning down and down and down. And
the atomic truth of the pixel platformer is kind of picked apart in front of you.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's amazing.
And it's done with just such beauty. There's just such a variety of stuff that you encounter, and all of it is gorgeous to look at and to be in. Yeah, worth it.
Amazing.